Have you ever wondered which muscle cars from the 70s had the power but never got the recognition they deserved? Some cars became legends, but others remained hidden gems. Cars that packed serious horsepower yet faded into obscurity. In this video, we're looking at the ultimate sleeper muscle cars of the 70s, the ones that could hold their own but never got the limelight. By the end of this video, you'll discover some of the most underrated muscle cars of the era, cars that could have been icons but never got their fair share of attention. Stick around to see if one of your favorites made the list. 1977 Ford LTD II Sport. What if we told you that one of the most unassuming cars of the 70s had a muscle's heart? At a first glance, the LTD II Sport looked like a luxurious highway cruiser, something your grandfather would drive to the golf course. It was big, heavy, and draped in chrome. But beneath that conservative exterior lay the soul of a muscle car. Ford built the LTD II on the Torino chassis, a car known for its NASCAR roots. The standard engine options were mild, but Ford allowed buyers to equip this luxury coupe with a 351 Windsor, or, for those who knew what they were doing, a massive 400 cubic inch V8. The car's factory numbers weren't anything shocking due to emissions regulations, but with a few performance tweaks, you could unlock a monster. Under the right hands, an LTD II with a modified 400 could dust more well-known muscle cars of the line. The car featured a full perimeter frame with 14 rubber body mounts, giving it surprisingly stable handling for a vehicle of its size. Unfortunately, despite its performance potential, the LTD II was a victim of bad timing. Ford had begun a shift to more fuel-efficient cars, and suddenly, its giant coupe looked outdated. And with the muscle car scene on the decline by then, the LTD II faded into obscurity before it ever got a chance to prove itself. 1979 Chrysler 300. Could Chrysler's luxury-focused lineup actually include a forgotten muscle car? By the late 70s, the era of the muscle car was fading, but Chrysler wasn't done yet. Reviving the legendary 300 name, they gave it a performance-focused twist. The 79 Chrysler 300 shared its body with the Cordoba, but under the hood, it packed a 360 cubic inch V8 with a 4-barrel car producing 195 horsepower, more than a base model Corvette of that year. The 300 also received suspension upgrades, including stiffer springs and heavy-duty shocks, making it more capable than expected. And despite its nearly 2-ton weight, it handled well and made for a surprisingly fun highway cruiser. Unfortunately, the 300 never caught on. It lacked aggressive marketing, and most buyers just saw it as another luxury coupe. But for those who knew, it was a hidden gem, one of the last muscle cars of the era, hiding in plain sight. Despite its potential, as the era of the muscle car faded, so too did the Chrysler 300. While it had the power, name, and style, it never got the recognition it deserved. 1971 Buick GS 455 Stage 1. Could a Buick really be one of the fastest muscle cars of its time? Even today, Buick has a reputation for luxury, but the 1971 GS 455 Stage 1 was anything but soft and cushy. Under the hood, it packed a 455 cubic inch V8, officially rated at 345 horsepower, but real-world numbers were much higher. With 510 foot-pound of torque, it had more twist than a Hemi, launching this heavyweight down the quarter mile in the low 13 seconds. The GS wasn't just about power, it had a well-balanced suspension that gave it stability, making it a surprisingly refined performer. Unfortunately, this was not enough to get the recognition it deserved. People just didn't see Buick as a muscle car brand, and it lacked the marketing push of the Chevelle SS or GTO. For those who knew, the GS 455 Stage 1 was the ultimate sleeper. Luxury on the outside, pure muscle underneath. In the end, Buick's public image as a luxury brand caused the car to be overlooked. It had all the power of a muscle car, but none of the reputation. 1976 Plymouth Volare Roadrunner 360. What if a simple commuter car secretly packed muscle car DNA? By 1976, the era of muscle cars was on life support, but Plymouth wasn't ready to give up just yet. The Roadrunner name, once a symbol of raw speed, had been reduced to an option package for the Volare, a car most people saw as an economy coupe. But under the hood, the 360 cubic inch V8 told a different story. Factory rated at 220 horsepower, the 360 had more potential than these numbers suggest. With minor tuning, it could easily push past 300 horsepower, turning this mild-mannered coupe into a true street sleeper. The factory torsion bar suspension and heavy-duty rear leaf springs gave it solid handling, making it a balanced performer rather than just a straight-line bruiser. The problem? It didn't look the part. Without bold stripes, hood scoops, or aggressive badging, it blended in too well. Chrysler didn't market it as a true muscle car, so it slipped under the radar. But for those who knew, the Volare Roadrunner was a hidden powerhouse, a muscle car disguised as a daily driver. Though its lack of bold styling and aggressive marketing hindered it, this was a muscle car hidden in plain sight. 1970 Mercury Cyclone spoiler. Did Ford's fancy cousin actually build a muscle car that could take on the best? The 1970 Mercury Cyclone spoiler was built for speed, but never got the credit it deserved. Sharing DNA with the Torino Cobra, it had the looks of a refined muscle car, but packed serious firepower under the hood. The base engine was a potent 429 cubic inch V8 with ram air, making 370 horsepower. But for those who wanted true dominance, Mercury offered the Super Cobra Jet variant, 375 horsepower, solid lifters, and an aggressive camshaft that turned it into a street monster. Equipped with a 4-speed manual and an optional drag pack that included a 4.30-to-1 Detroit locker rear end, the Cyclone spoiler was built to launch hard and hold its own against anything on the road. The aerodynamic styling and functional hood scoop gave it an edge in high-speed runs, making it a real sleeper in Mercury's lineup. Although it was a proven performer, the spoiler was often overshadowed by the Mustang and Torino. Mercury just wasn't seen as a performance brand, and buyers looking for speed often looked elsewhere. But among those in the know, this was one of the best-kept secrets of the muscle car era, a true powerhouse that never got the recognition it deserved. 1972 Ford Maverick Grabber. How could a budget-friendly compact car be a legit muscle car? At a glance, the Maverick appears to just be Ford's economy alternative to the Mustang. But with the Grabber package, it got a sportier look and, more importantly, access to real V8 power. With an optional 302 cubic inch V8 pushing 210 horsepower, the lightweight Maverick had an impressive power-to-weight ratio. Paired with a 4-speed manual, it could run quarter miles in the mid-14s, keeping pace with larger muscle cars. And thanks to its smaller frame, it also had generally better handling than most traditional V8 bruisers. Unfortunately, the Maverick Grabber never took off. It lacked the aggressive marketing enjoyed by the Mustang, and its mild-mannered styling didn't scream performance to buyers. But those who knew its secrets recognized it as a true sleeper, a compact car with serious muscle hiding under the hood. 1974 Chevrolet Nova SS350. Was Chevy's forgotten muscle car actually a street warrior? The Nova SS350 didn't have the same reputation as the Chevelle or Camaro, but that didn't mean it lacked performance. As a lightweight alternative to Chevy's bigger muscle cars, it packed a 350 cubic inch V8 pushing 295 horsepower and 380 foot-pounds of torque, pretty big numbers for its size. With a 4-speed manual and a curb weight of around 3,300 pounds, the Nova SS350 had an excellent power-to-weight ratio. In the stock config, it could run low 14s in the quarter mile, but with minor upgrades like a cam swap and better headers, it could easily push into the 13s. Even though it was a capable car, the Nova SS was essentially the Luigi to the Chevelle and Camaro's Mario. Lacking the aggressive styling of the Camaro and the road presence of the Chevelle, it simply didn't catch on. But for those who gave it a second look, the Nova SS 350 was a serious contender, a no-frills muscle car that could hold its own on the streets. 1971 AMC Matador. How could an AMC sedan be a secret performance monster? When it came to public perception, AMC and muscle cars often didn't fit together. But the 1971 Matador had real potential, especially when equipped with a 401 cubic inch V8. This baby pushed out 335 horsepower and 430 foot-pounds of torque, giving the Matador serious street credibility. With the Go package, buyers got a 4-barrel carb, dual exhaust, heavy-duty suspension, and a performance rear axle. The Matador wasn't just quick, it was durable, earning a reputation among police departments for its power and reliability. And its relatively lightweight for a mid-sized car meant it could launch hard, keeping up with bigger-name muscle cars. But like others on this list, even though it was capable, the Matador never became a household name. AMC didn't market it as a muscle car, and it lacked the aggressive styling of its rivals. But for those who looked under the hood, the Matador was a hidden gem, a muscle car disguised as a sleeper sedan. 1972 Pontiac LeMans 455 HO. What if you could get GTO power without the GTO name? In 1972, insurance companies were cracking down on muscle cars, making them more expensive to own. So Pontiac came up with a solution: offer GTO-level performance but in a less flashy package. And with this, the LeMans 455 HO was born. Under the hood sat a 455 cubic inch HO V8 making 300 horsepower and 415 foot-pound of torque, nearly matching the legendary GTO. The LeMans also offered the T41 Endura front end, making it look almost identical to GTO without the high insurance costs. And with the Muncie M22 4-speed manual or turbo 400 automatic, this car had serious street potential. But the attempt to deliver muscle power without the look kinda backfired. A lack of aggressive marketing as well as the lack of traditional muscle style meant it was often just seen as another Pontiac coupe. But those few bright souls who knew took advantage, getting GTO performance in a low-profile package that packed a punch without the insurance cost. As you can see, each one of these cars had the power, performance, and potential to be legends. But whether they were victims of changing times or overshadowed by more popular models, they simply didn't catch on. But they did prove that the 1970s weren't just about the big names. Sometimes, the real monsters were the ones you never saw coming.